Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Law of Attraction Roundtable. I'm Gary Temple Bodley, and with me today is someone I found on YouTube who was referred to me by Mark Shahada from Tap It Out podcast, and I'm happy to welcome Roxanne Swainhart. Hi, Roxanne.
Hey Gary, how are you?
So we had our first conversation 10 minutes ago. We've been talking a
Yep.
little bit before we got started. Actually, we talked for like half an hour. So the time flies when you're having fun.
It does, right?
But Mark sends me a text and says, check out Roxanne. So I go on and watch these YouTubes, and like when I see someone that lights up to me now, it's obvious. And so I knew I had to have you on the podcast and introduce you to everyone and talk
Love it.
about,
Thank you so much.
how channeling is for you and how you got into it and what you see the message is. So you live in San Antonio, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You're about my age. I was born in 63. You were born in 66.
Mm-hmm.
I started channeling in 2013, and so did you, which
Mm-hmm.
seems like the
That's
age
cool.
of around 50,
Yeah.
and we have,
I think it was 47, 48 for me, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah,
This
it was right around that. I think 50 is a great age.
50 is a great age. Now I'm
It
57.
really is fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about my 30s. I was in the car business. All I did was work my ass off. There's no 30s for me. I don't 40s I started like, oh yeah, okay. I remember a few things about 40s, start to change the value of life, and yeah.
Yeah. And how about 20s? 20s was just a blur of 20s, completely unfocused. I don't know what was happening. Yeah. So 20s, 30s, 40s started to get focused.
Yeah.
50, that's when everything changed.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. So you start channeling, and you were aware of who else as a channel before that?
At the time, I was watching Daryl Inca channeling Bashar. Love Daryl, love his work. A great career, 30 plus years of doing it without wavering. Same with Abraham, with Esther Hicks, and Jerry and the work that they put on. I read quite a bit of books. I read Seth, got uh, devoured Seth.
Yeah.
Like, hi Seth, I love you. And Jay-Z Knight and Ramtha work that she did. I think it's called the White Book. I'm not sure. Sorry, Jay-Z, I don't remember. But the work that she did, and then got start watching other current channels and the same ideas. It seems there was a class in that time.
Yeah.
We had like the bigs, what I would consider Bashar and Esther, and Sean Swanson was out there, and Story Waters was out there, um, and whatever was attractive. So yeah, I consider the bigs, the ones that are forged in the shit,
Paved the way.
paved the way, you remember Merv Griffin. I remember Merv Griffin. Jay-Z Knight was on Merv Griffin.
Wow.
And if you can remember that, you can see how long channeling has been around.
Right.
Fantastic. So they paved the way. And then there seemed to be another class of, Nora Harold, Wendy Kennedy, Rob Gauthier, Daniel Scranton, and then it connected me with, Story Waters, and of course the books that are out there, and some of the other channelers from, Casey and Edgar Casey, and all these material out there to be that. So that's when I started very interested in what this phenomenon was, and then was reading about it, and then a couple months later, hey, you want a channel? Sure. And then, yeah, so there you go.
So do you think that you were destined to be a channel and that your whole life led to that, or you just picked it up because it was something fun to do?
Well, I think life is an exceptional probability of the unknown.
Yeah.
And wherever your value is in the moment, you choose. I think it was Bashar said you have the inability to have a different choice in the moment. because you're always choosing your best self, your highest truth. It's impossible to choose something else. Now, 1 second later, you can have an exceptional idea of hindsight and judge the living crap out of yourself about that with guilt or regret or shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But those are a space-time idea, frequency, and experience. So I think that my life was an exceptional amount of investigation through whatever thousands of lives maybe I'm living, and all of the intelligence flowing into the isness of my whole gestalt. Roxanne was picking up on some of that worth to start choosing a different style of life, a different tact of life. And when I left the world of Roy and became the world of Roxanne, everything became slipstream, peaceful, awesome blossom. Of course, there was an immense amount of emotional struggle with the choices and the reflection of society bombarding you with judgments and rights and wrongs. To me, that's all evolution. At the
Yeah.
time, painful, scary, absolutely. But in the evolution of myself, as was the evolution of the human collective, the realization of change is only constant. So my ideas about those purposes were potentials. And as I fell in love with me, I was choosing the synchronicities. There was times I could have chosen different things, just like not to go to my first guided meditation group and doubt myself.
Right.
But, as you grow into, to me, when I transitioned in 2010, it became a point of courage that gave other choices
Mm.
later in my life to be not as courageous. They were almost common for me to, of course I'm going to do that.
Hmm.
And some people are going to count it to you being a Sagittarian. Sagittarians, we don't give a crap. We live on the edge. We're
Yeah.
fire. We're like, oh, I'll do it. And hey, get Mikey, he'll eat it. Hey, get Roxy, she'll do it. Oh yeah, let's give it a go and see what happens. So, we're always on that edge, and that time in my life that made itself was a probability,
Okay.
and as I chose that, I fell in love with it.
Well, you have certain characteristics. You are an amazing speaker.
Yes,
You are
really good
highly
speaker.
eloquent,
Yeah,
and you are highly intelligent, right?
yeah.
Okay, so did that evolve? Were you born that way? Is this a trait within you that's always existed? Were you doubting it or suppressing it while you were selling cars? Or was the
Yeah,
fact that you could talk made you able to sell cars? Like I was selling real estate.
yeah. When I think it was a skill set. Maybe okay. So let's talk about that. Maybe it's an inherited skill set from the selves that we are in the now.
Yeah.
There's a idea out there about speakers. Seth talked about speakers. One that has a knack, and for some reason, that connection to a speaker collective idea is very validated in my life through my ability to speak,
Right.
right? And as they used to say, customers say, "Stop flashing that smile at me." You know,
Yeah.
you know,
Look at that
you
smile.
get that smile, and you know how
Another
to do it. You
attribute.
know the timing, the pace, the tempo, and the inflection, and you don't think about it. It was just there.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, maybe that work that we did in the car business honed the craft to when it came into the idea of channeling and allowing these frequencies to come through, these connections to come through, and allow them to use the ability of what I have developed over a lifetime to have the ability to pace a conversation, to have the inflection, the tone, and everything about conversation translated became exceptional.
Yes. So
Really, really good. So yeah, I mean, you can look at that as a I had the skill set. Why not?
right. Right.
You know.
And was that skill set always there? So you were playing around with it. Now you
Yeah, it was
are
always there. Always there.
okay. So you're a
Yeah.
spiritual leader and teacher. Right?
Yeah. It's always there. Always there.
Yeah. And how did that manifest in your conversations with people? What you were interested in? What you were talking about? Were you like interested in helping people without, back in those days, we used to think, oh, I could help somebody
Right.
and they need my
Right.
help. And you have that dynamic of the superior helper and the inferior person that needs your help.
Right.
Right?
And then you have that relationship of
And
vibration, and it's like,
doesn't
yeah,
work,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
it doesn't work.
yet there's something that drives you to want to be of
Right.
service,
Right.
and so now I think when we look back at our lives in that, it was not a waste of time. It was always preparing us to where we are now.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was forging the fire, or
Mhm.
forging our skill set as that, as a probability to have that foundation below you to when this time comes.
Yeah.
Because when I started speaking, well, when I started channeling, I wasn't as speaking as much as I am right now. And
Me too.
now, I speak more as Roxanne and channel sometimes. Before, I channeled all the time and spoke very little as Roxanne, because I had to take that step of allowing my intelligence to be part of the one, or all or one. So I can channel, but I don't have to channel,
Yeah.
you know. And I think that lifetime that I've had gave me that foundation and that courage, and then of course the trust to do that. And
I'm
now
finding that out
now
more.
it's a blending. I can't even
It's a
define
blending.
sometimes.
Right.
It's like, holy cow. If I'm channeling Osifius and Roxanne, it's Roxius. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
it's this combination of we that become just an idea, and as you lose away your identity, you're known as a truth, but you're not objectified as a singularity amongst the others. It's the we, and I am is what I know myself as, but not identified. It's really cool.
And it's also this collective. So
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Joshua was talking about this yesterday, is that in that source consciousness, when you're in alignment, it's always the we. How
Yes,
can we have more
for
fun?
me,
How can we do these things together? And in the fear consciousness, it's always the individual. How
the
do I protect
objectified.
myself?
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's
so,
what we're taught. We're
yeah,
taught to be I, and I am not. That's not me. That's not me. That's not me. I am objectified outside of myself instead of unified from a subjective point of view. Absolutely.
right.
But
So we're
that's the
moving.
game. Without
Yeah,
that innocence, what are we, connected? We came here not to be connected. That's
exactly.
the innocence lost, so we can understand ourselves. Innocence to waking up, so we realize we are connection, and we are we, not I. I mean, I am as my truth, but we collectively create I, and I collectively create we.
Exactly.
Without we, there's no I. Hmm.
Yeah. So here we are moving from fear to love, from control
Mm-hmm.
to acceptance,
Mm-hmm.
from individuality to oneness. Then,
Yes. And
and
what I got the other day, real quick, is
yeah,
when you realize your unity, diversity becomes magical,
yes.
beautiful.
Well, look at
I
that.
love diversity.
We're moving from segregation to
Yes.
diversity, right?
Yeah,
The
to
whole
diversity.
society is. Yeah,
Oh, I love it.
yeah.
Fantastic.
And those in fear of that
Change.
are just living in that fear, right? And
Yeah.
the thoughts that they receive are, this is wrong.
Yeah,
But
because they have a filter. That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
They're
uh,
playing their rodeo. Have fun.
yeah. So it's interesting. You know where you stand
Oh, yeah.
on what triggers your limiting beliefs
Yes.
and where that fear is. It's very cool. So you came into, and I did too. I lost everything in the financial crash,
Yep.
and I was
2008.
living, yeah, and so started my journey at that time, and then in 2013, so 5 years or so, to see Joshua. But if you had told me where I would be now 6 years ago, I'd be like, "There's no way I want to do that."
No way.
And now that I'm here, pushing
Yeah.
past all that fear to get here, which
Yeah.
wasn't that hard because it was step by step by step.
Yeah.
I
It's always
can't
in the now, and it's
always
easy
in
in
the
the
now.
now. It's horrible in time. Well, time will
Yes.
scare the crap out of you. But
Yeah.
now, hey, I got this choice.
Because you expand through each of these choices, and that's
Sure.
what this looking back does. You can see so much more clearly. Yet at the time you couldn't see it because you weren't expanded to this level.
Right.
So if you
Each
could
now
just
is relative into itself.
right.
Yes.
So when making a choice, then what kind of choice do you make in the now?
For me or you?
Yeah, for anyone who's listening.
Any now, the choice is the immediacy of knowing. And how can be explained?
Mm.
Someone had called me and asked me, Roxy, I want to do this, but, and I said, I want to do this is what you want to do. Everything back to but is the ego being recognized. That's the prison. That's the idea of your own limitations. But don't get mad at your limitations. Don't get up at your own recognition of your egoic structure, the personality you built, because you didn't know you were building personality in the absolute badassery of coming to the separated class of humanity, right?
Yeah.
So in that, when you know that is passionate and it doesn't have a purpose or a meaning or an outcome or a projection or a validation of doing this to be a product in time to produce yourself as valuable to the collective, the objects of the world, then you all of a sudden realize then there was really no other choice. Every other choice would be dumbing yourself down, darkening your light, choosing your unworthiness. And then if you would look at polarity, someone wants you to do something or you think you should do something, but you don't want to, that's the slipstream as well. Wow, I don't want to do that. So you don't. And no matter what consequences, what you're supposed to, you're obligated, you need to, that's you have, because, and that's recognition of that is the managerial aspect that you grew up as a personality to guide your way and manage your way through life so you can have some kind of hero ship at a grave. Stop. You know,
Right.
You got to be the exceptional I am, and then there's no effort in it.
Yeah.
And then you deconstruct the ego as you journey.
Right. So it's deconstructing the ego. The ego's trying to keep you safe, doesn't want you to
Safe,
change.
secure, the whole thing.
Secure.
Yeah. Oh, careful, careful.
Yeah.
Change is scary. Oh my God.
Wants you to control who you're being so that you can keep
back to good old days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have one of Lisa Sharp, who's in our group, is an artist in England, and she's made 2 paintings.
Yeah, I've watched the podcast with you.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
You had that round table with like five people, I think.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, you're
very
watching. Good. So she had made 2 art pieces, 2 paintings with her art and then words on them that she gilds. And the first one says, push past fear and say yes. And the other one says, push past fear and say no.
No.
Right?
Same thing.
So it's the same thing. Yeah. It's like that's a higher level thought.
And now there's no or yes for me in choice. Because see, what I've discovered about the now, if you're now, I don't have any time to do anything else. See, I used to make time to do things that were valuable to the ego. I should do this, I should do that. It's time to clean, it's time to do this, it's time to do that. Yeah. So I manage myself in time. So when I start validating time and start being now, it was an uncomfortable place to live because you didn't have a purpose, you didn't have a meaning, you just kind of like were this blah energy doing. But your mind is expecting you to be productive. You're looking for an outcome. You want something because we're taught always to be first grade, second grade, third grade, graduation, become, education, career, family, die.
Retire, die.
I'm out of that. So I don't have time to do that. So in the now, I've discovered there's really not any choices to make. It's what's already there. And you don't hesitate to go, oh man, maybe I shouldn't do that. I was like, are you kidding me? I don't even have those thoughts. Those relative thoughts of vibrational algorithms of the egoic structure are no longer valued because I haven't been feeding them. So they've transcended into a different idea vibration that allows me a plethora of choices, but I don't even see most of choices that I have because I'm slipstreaming the now. I go from one thing to the next and to the next, and they're not things to be produced. They're what I am exploring in the moment.
And that is what Joshua calls being a blended being. You're existing in the moment, and your inner self is giving you thoughts of inspired ideas to do what's next. What's next? Always for the new, never trying to recreate some past fun event. Just doing what's new.
You can never recreate a fun event.
You can have a new fun event.
Well, it's constantly fun. You know what? Yeah. What I discovered about time is people like to go and create happiness. And after I took away all the crap, happiness is self-evident. It's our natural state of being, but it's not happy and like, oh my God, I'm on vacation, I'm happy. Look, everybody. No. You know, you don't run around. You are this state of awareness that's motion. And that motion doesn't value itself in the emotional timestamps to value your own existence. you realize existence is present. And that motion is a thing that's so beyond happiness. And you don't have time to measure, because if you measure yourself as happy, it's the most it's within a limiting scope of humanity's perception of what would they would
Exactly.
call ecstasy, joy, or happiness, the
Yeah.
escapism of whatever it is to get that. Oh, I'm going to go and get let's say high, or oh, I'm going to go to on a vacation. And those are these creative moments of emptiness, because it's a perceived thing that the mind constantly says that's valuable then, but when you arrive at the moment, you're trying so damn hard you miss the moment itself.
Right. To control the moment.
Fantastic.
So this is what people want, is the clarity to see what is actually happening in this moment, and actually where their mind is going to, and why they're being distracted, and why they're being,
Recognition. Yeah.
some clarity. Now, Joshua says joy is not always this high, happy, great, excited. The joy is interest, curiosity, exhilaration, experimentation, any emotion that's above that horizon line. It feels good. Yeah.
I love it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So is there a unifying theme or idea that you've come across that really says this is the sum of these teachings? And I'll share, for example, what Joshua brings forth.
Okay.
So in the first book, the first thing I ever channeled, the first day, November 15th, 2013.
What's the name of the book?
It's A Perception of Reality.
The Perception of Reality.
Right.
Okay.
There's 5 books now. So the first thing I ever did, the first introduction, was a 3-word sentence. And that 3-word sentence sums up the entire teachings of Joshua, which is everything is right.
Yep.
Then it goes on to say that there is no wrong anywhere in the universe. Anything that is perceived as wrong comes from a limited perspective. From the higher perspective, whether that's after time has passed, or from the higher perspective of the non-physical, everything is always, always right.
Yes.
If people could get this idea that they're living in duality, judging things as right or wrong, not because they're inherently right or wrong, but only because they have a belief system that says that this thing's right and that thing's wrong, and that
Kind of like
thing
the
should be and shouldn't
one
be.
man's trash is another man's treasure idea.
That is that. Well,
What I find right, you might not find right, but that still doesn't make it wrong.
Exactly.
It means that individual truth lies in the eye of the beholder. It ties in with that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So you can now look at everything from the perspective that it's not right or wrong, it's neutral, and you
Until
give
it's assigned
energy
meaning.
to it.
Yeah,
Until it's
you assign it meaning.
Right.
Yeah.
And therefore,
there's something about neutrality. Let me go over this.
Yes.
And I remember when I was hearing that neutrality, people would say, well, it's neutral. I should be able to assign it meaning, and it's going to turn into being happy. And they think they're creators of realities. But see, if it's here and now, that reality has already arrived, and that reality is full of life. So the neutrality is choice on how to see it.
Right.
It is alive. So here comes Peter Cottontail, and you look at Peter Cottontail as happy. But here comes demonic idea of a death slayer, and you assign it meaning. But the vibrations are individual truths, and you turn that vibration into yours. So the neutrality isn't empty. The neutrality is a vibration of truth that you get to assign through the belief system that you are, and you put it anywhere on your polarity scale as an emotion.
Yes.
Translated situation motion. This rape is bad. This courageous volunteer is good. So those two experiences are actually creation truly happening.
Yes, they're truly happening.
And it's not.
But how you react to this
is
defines the life that you're creating in the future.
Bingo.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, I don't necessarily see it as life creating in the future. What you're experiencing now.
Yes, but
we have the ability to take memory and put it in a timeline, space-time continuum, to remember and forge a future through the memory. But it's only just another blip in the now. That's all.
Of course.
It is.
But in that blip in the now, how you're being as you react or respond to the conditions that you've attracted is a vibration that will attract a next moment.
But it doesn't attract a negative next moment.
Well, there is no negative.
Right.
Right.
But a lot of people think that we're offering an idea now. I know it's not you, but I'm saying to the collective, people think I must be negative because I'm attracting a negative situation.
Right.
It's not negative. You see it as negative, and
Yes.
if you see it as negative, the next situation doesn't mean it's still negative. It's
Right.
still a choice.
It's still a choice.
It's a
And
reflection for you to see differentiations of creation through a different point of view of yourself, which involves, of course, you.
you're also defining yourself by this reality that you think you've created,
Yeah.
which that reality has nothing to do with you as a God creator. It has to do with your perception of this reality and how you are choosing to see it.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're good or bad. You are
Right.
inherently good. You cannot be bad. There is
Yeah.
no
There's only a
possibility.
state of being that's
It is being.
unconditional.
And
Sure.
you tend
Absolutely.
to define yourself by, this is the best house I could get. This is the best job I could get. This is the
Sure.
best car I could get. This is the best mate I could get.
But that's the value of the game of humanity
That's the
until you
value of the
wake up.
game. So you see it as a game and you say,
Yeah.
oh my God, look what a great house I have. Oh
Yeah.
my God, look what a great, but humans living in the old approach to life are saying, if I appreciate this shitty car that I have, I'm never going to get a new car. The opposite of that is true. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
come to this perception that all things are going perfectly so that you can
Yep.
get to a new level of awareness. And
Right.
once you get there, then that's when things don't even necessarily have to change, but you'll just live in the state of
Well, if you live
alignment.
in that state, then change is going to occur naturally.
It cannot occur.
It
That's,
cannot be stay the same.
yeah.
We love change because why do we have to keep being the same selves? Because it's safety, it's comfort, security. There's history, and there's validation. There's nostalgic. There's a whole bunch of human in trying to keep things the same.
Right.
But truly, change is constant and it's outstanding.
And it's has to happen. There would be no reason for physical reality without constant and consistent change in every single moment. And
Every
in
moment.
fact, every moment may look
Brand new.
similar, but brand new.
Yep, brand new.
Yeah.
Brand new, fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastically brand new.
Yeah.
But the mind has an ability to assign it as the same.
Because it would be weird if it didn't, because we'd be so fixated.
Right. It would be, I can't
new.
keep up with this reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So if you look at your life when you were 30 and the thoughts that were coming to you compared to the thoughts that are coming to you now, what's the difference between the two?
Need, want, desire before. Now allowance. I don't even have those thoughts anymore of allowance. I've transcended those, but the difference is the thoughts that are coming to me are vibrational potentials of exploration. The thoughts I had in the 30 was, how do I please my wife? How do I please my employer? How do I please my parents? What am I doing today? What can I be responsible for? How can I make things better for other people? Those vibrational algorithms that created the personality that I was through my own individual upbringing, because everything around me that I coveted as valuable became my personality, the way I was supposed to behave, what I'm supposed to do, what I need to do, what I have to do.
And you created that reality.
Of course,
that you thought
I created my
was
personality.
Right.
Me.
Right. And from the outside, it looks successful.
Yep.
Yep.
Lots of times it looked very successful. Lots of times it looked very tragic.
Yeah, it had to look tragic because you had to get from there to here.
Yeah,
And
3 bankruptcies, 3 ex-wives.
Yes,
That's a tragedy in a lot of lives.
Right.
But to me, I forged the fire. I experienced the evolution of me, choosing the things that were no longer valuable so I can make different choices in my life, and having the courage to make that, to live a life. I can't make myself any happier. I can't do anything. I don't need anybody's approval.
Right.
I am. Oh yeah, I got it now. So yeah,
Right.
all of that led to this in, space.
Yeah. Well, so then there was, like I had 2 complete wipeouts in my life and divorce.
Fantastic.
And stuff, Did you have any kids?
No.
Me neither. Yeah.
No kids.
No kids. But the first wipeout, it was like, okay, how can I get back? Right. And then the second wipeout is like, all right, let's redesign this whole thing from scratch,
Yeah.
But I was still trying to use the law of attraction to get my money back.
Right.
But it took a while to realize, okay, well, now I'm going to do it more harmoniously with what gives me pleasure and what's
Right.
the
Right.
highest good of all, and
But that's
thinking
part of your
positive.
own evolution. That's
Absolutely.
discovery of the thinking mind that's no longer needed,
Yeah.
and trusting the moment. And it's already there. It's already taken care of.
Yeah. And then how do we get there more and more and more? What do you worry about now?
No, nothing.
Really?
Oh, God.
I still have a little
There's,
worry.
there's nothing. Not a damn thing.
Yeah.
I don't even have an algorithm of getting worried about anything,
That's great.
because there's nothing valuable in my life that would value anything in my life as other than experiential.
Yeah. Well, I'm at that level where I understand that the worry is ridiculous and that
Yeah.
the thing I'm worried about, if that were to happen, would be for my highest good anyway. So that it would be an experience that I need to have. So bring it on. But,
Right.
I'm still, and my worry level is a 1 compared to a 10, how it used to be. I'm very much in the
Sure.
moment
Sure.
doing things I want to do. And I'm also not attached to any outcome. So I don't care
Good.
what
Because the
happens.
outcome is irrelevant because it isn't now.
All right, let's say that you get invited on the Joe Rogan podcast, the biggest podcast in the world, to talk about law of attraction. How do you feel?
Outstanding. If he invited me, yeah, I would
Yeah,
absolutely love that.
yeah. You would
Yeah.
actually be very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah. I like Joe Rogan.
I do too. Now I've
It's
always.
weird. I had a
Yeah.
thing about Joe Rogan in 2010.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and this is kind of spooky for some people, but there was a reality, kind of like the Mandela effect, where he actually passed on.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people that thought Joe Rogan was dead
Ah.
back in 2010 in my reality. And
Yeah.
then someone said, Joe Rogan's not dead. And somebody said, yes, he is. And I'm like, wow, there's
Yeah,
a little
that's
blending there.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
In
I'm very
fact,
glad that he's choosing to be in my reality as a co-creator, because
yeah.
he does exceptional work.
Well, I was always a fan of news radio from the very beginning. I watched
Yep.
every episode of Fear Factor. It was like, how is this guy in my reality? And then I've been a huge, and he talks about law of attraction a lot of times, and they've had a
Does he?
couple good
That's
ones.
cool.
And I've
I
actually,
remember. Wait a minute. That's right. Yeah, he does. He does do that somewhat.
he was with a guy from a band, famous guy, who was talking about Esther.
Yeah.
And how he has gone to Esther workshops.
That's right. Yeah.
And they were talking about this, and then another person, like another couple people, have said that I'm going to be on that podcast, and like that whole thing is like, I have to totally push past fear to do that. But
Yeah.
I did apply. I did send in my application to do
You
that.
send in an app. That's how you do it.
Well, you go to the website and you just click on apply.
Oh,
And they
okay.
must get
Yeah.
billions of them, so it might go through the
Yeah.
water. But
Yeah.
that pushing past fear to do what I'm inspired to do was just the act in and of itself. And
Sure.
where that
Yeah.
goes,
The
who
act and
knows?
the results are regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like his mafioso shows when he brings some of the mob stories on and shit like that. That's some great stuff.
Yeah.
Man. I love the validity of human experience. It's
I do too.
masterful. The guts it took to be these people, man.
Yeah. And it's inspiring, but also you can see where the resistance is easily, and you can see where their passion is and how they've allowed themselves to go from nothing to wherever they are in their minds. It's really amazing. And then they get to this level and get stuck. You think of rock bands, and it's so interesting. This time I feel like is when we are that rock band just starting out, and have a few fans, and we're touring around, and we love what we're doing, and then when it blows up, how can you operate at that level? This is always going to be the fun part,
Yeah.
That'll be something else, but we relish what we can do with this now and where we are now.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so what are you interested in doing now? Like, I'm interested in talking to more people like you, and to building relationships, and to engaging in higher level thoughts. And I'm really interested in, how do you go from the old approach to life of control and fear, and smoothly go into a new approach of of love and acceptance, right?
Right.
Going from individuality to a unity, understanding what your soul's purpose is. I don't know if you, for me, my soul's purpose is obvious that I was, if when I embrace the fact that I'm a spiritual leader and teacher, everything clicks, everything lines up, everything's on the
Well,
rails.
that's your joy in the now. Sure.
That's my joy in the now. But
Yeah.
I believe that was my soul's purpose from the beginning.
Okay.
And what do you think? It was just one of the possibilities that emerged.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first off, which is a little bit disruptive to a lot of the histories. I don't validate the soul as much as people do. I'm a considerate
I agree.
and
I agree.
in the idea of a social memory complex. It stores. I remember when Ramtha says we were fleeting beings. We were always now. We never had a created reflection of ourselves that would constitute the validation of created time.
Right.
So therefore, we couldn't have an experience. So we created a reflection of ourselves in time called a social memory complex, and maybe that would be considered a soul as well. But I know a soul is not there. My soul, like my soul is in pain, or my soul is in. My soul is a conglomeration of my. It's my external hard drive.
Okay.
Okay. So
So
that's all. So hang on, time
yeah.
out. Let me answer the question, kiddo. So let's look at a purpose. If I don't go my purpose, then what am I? I didn't fail because I'm not here for an experiential of measurements.
Agreed.
Reality to me draws in the absolutely unknowable, unconditional now, and I don't manage it. Now, yes, I try to manage it. I wanted to be on stage next to Esther and Bashar have the trifecta on fucking stage. I had those images in my mind of purpose and need, but I will never pursue anything
Right.
because I'm enough in the now.
Right.
So what I experienced is the purpose I let go of. Now it's not wrong. You can have all the purposes you want. You can live that life. But for the individual that I am, I let go of purpose and meaning and outcome and hopes and needs and wants and desires to become isness in the now. And now, whatever flows to me. So like, I didn't find you.
Right.
I won't apply for Joe Rogan.
Right.
I'm not going to do any of those things because I don't need to be better or perceive a time because enough now. How can I be any better than what I am right now? I
And
can't be any better.
this
This
is
now, right
exactly,
now,
yeah.
I can't replace it. So yeah.
This is exactly what I'm saying. Is that in that being in the now,
Yeah.
that pre-birth intentions or that purpose
I think as a
for
concept given to the human collective is a permission slip.
okay. So let's say you existed in the non-physical,
Yeah.
and then you say, I'm going to come back in and have an experience.
Yep.
Are there no intentions?
For me, why give yourself a okay? So hey man, so let's look at an available incarnation. So let's say, oh, okay, here's the individual singularity, and I always talk about this because I love the Kardashians. I love their life that they have,
Yes.
and Bruce and everybody like that. So these people have no, absolutely zero consideration of a different life. They say, oh, there's an intention, or there's an incarnation. Let's go. So they become a Kardashian, and they just live the life. So is that serve a purpose? Maybe in time, maybe in karma, maybe in lessons, maybe in forging yourself. But how about a poor person? Is that less than the Kardashians?
No.
Or how about a guru leader in India? Or how about a Sherpa leading people up Mount Everest?
Right.
How about a midwife in the 1500s?
Yeah.
I think everything is absolutely priceless. It's the value that the ego conceptualizes as in purpose and meaning to define the external self as something of purposeful to give themselves validation. But the isness that lies in the moment is absolutely unconditional priceless. And when you peel off enough of those things, you start to see life is alive in the moment. And if we're up here saying, and I was like, oh, there's an incarnation. Hey guys, I'm going. Bye. See you later. And I take it, and then I have this life that I can never measure. Now, the quality of my own awareness, my own forged skill, of the combination of nows that I have that I can lie in past lives and future lives if I was assigned it meaning, gives me the ability to trust the internal self of awakening. And I think that leads to maybe an idea on why we're ready to ascend, because enough of us have done this enough times to realize we don't need to screw around the opposition. There's enough light bearers out there allowing the collective to ascend to the next idea in a couple of thousand years.
Yeah. All right. So coming back to what my true interest is,
Mm-hmm.
how do we become more effective in living the life that we're living now that we're here?
Effective to who?
Effective to,
I am. So be
okay.
yourself. I don't care about the human. I don't care about what they think about me or if I'm effective or ineffective. Do you think Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest athletes and stars, ever had 1 ounce of concern on how he projected himself?
Right.
Kobe
No.
Bryant fell in love with himself and he went after everything for himself, and he's revered for that absolute exceptional light work to allow people to trust themselves and take their internal journey of their truth, but they don't have to mimic or mock or follow Kobe. And that can be in any idea of someone that becomes great without the institution of pride. Because
Yeah.
that guy didn't have an ounce of pride in him. He had exceptional wisdom to allow himself to discover the beauty of himself through his now ideas. Now,
And
I
compare
understand your
that.
take on becoming an outside external validation, but
No, no,
I'm
no. I
not
don't want,
interested in
that's not what
that.
I'm talking about. When
No,
I
no, no,
say
I'm not
more
talking about you. I'm
effective,
just talking about the collective. You asked
yeah,
about the collective. Go ahead.
yeah. Well, I'm saying in order to be more like,
I can't think about how to do that. Because if I think about that, then how am I going to do that from history?
yeah,
I do it in the now. That's where I live.
but
I
you have a
can't
perception.
manage myself for 1 second beyond now. Because if I do, then I'm using the resources of my historical self. And that is a concept that has evolved. Why
Yeah.
would I use what I was to be what I am in the future? I am constantly
And,
now.
and how do you share that idea? Let's look at Tiger Woods, who was
Mhm.
being inauthentic. You know, here he is trying to promote this image of himself as this family man, responsible father, all this stuff, where
He was
obviously
maintaining an image, but that's just an
maintaining an
ego. He
image.
was doing his best self. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can see the difference between the authenticity of Kobe and the inauthenticity of Tiger at that time, you know, and
Yeah.
how one led to, you know, pretty much self-destruction in Tiger's case, and now a fun resurrection. And then Kobe had this brilliant entire thing. And then when he was done, okay. So Kobe dies, and how does he choose to return back to the non-physical? How does that work out?
I think that's all choice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of theories about what happens. One thing that I from Neil Donald Walsh, when I read his first Conversations with God, I absolutely clicked with the idea of you can undo your death.
Right.
And I think a lot of people undo their deaths because they're like, wow, I don't think I'm done yet. I want to go back and play some more.
Yes.
So everyone in that co-created moment of that death gives themselves a new memory of not dying, and they create a new idea of this. That death happened in some idea now, but this death did not happen. It was lucky. I was thrown from the car,
Mm-hmm.
or it was I was dead on the table for 3 minutes and I came back.
Right.
Well, it's because you chose to come back. That's all. And
Yeah.
they want to play the game. So Kobe didn't choose to come back. Prince didn't choose to come back. Robin Williams didn't choose to come back. All the greats, none of these people that are stayed dead in our space-time vibration, in our co-created reality, chose not to continue their life. Why? Because they're on to the next adventure.
Yes. Exactly. They have
Yeah.
Kobe. I was
Whatever
telling this
that
to people.
is.
Yeah. So Kobe gets to this from the time he's 10 years old. He is the center of attention. He's the star. He's this bright light. He's doing everything. Then he retires, and now what's he doing? He's being a soccer
Turns it
dad
around
and
and
living in
becomes a
oblivion. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah,
Yep. Interesting. Okay. All right.
mogul of. I mean, what he was starting to do, he had so many projects and things going. He was just exploring this entrepreneur himself, this next idea of himself. He didn't have to hold on to that image. He said, oh, look, I have an entire new playground to go. So he started to play.
Yeah. Which is what Shaq has done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta love the big man.
Yeah.
He
Are
falls
you,
funny.
are you a sports fan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny.
Football is my best, but
Me too.
I watch basketball too. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. That was great.
Yeah. Who's your team?
Well, okay. So I've lived in Florida for
There's a
40
delay
years. So
there.
I'm a
Wow.
huge Dolphins fan.
Sure.
And
Good.
then we moved to North Carolina, and now I've become a huge Panthers
Panthers.
fan. Yeah, and I
Sure.
love both teams. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
basketball, obviously the Heat. I was a huge Heat
Yeah.
fan. Went to so many games and wore all the white hot, white dress that you got there in Miami. It was so
Yeah.
cool. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so you're living in the moment. You're just existing, and I'm trying to do this myself as well. And I'm living in the moment more than ever before in my life. And what I do is I'm calling it living in the day. So whatever I'm inspired to do
Good.
that day, I'm just acting on as much inspiration as possible.
Well,
Whatever comes, comes.
yes,
Which is,
because whatever comes is an idea of your known.
yeah.
Let's pretend you're in the middle of this little ball.
Okay.
Okay. And that's your now. No matter where you go, you're always now. You're not going to time, you're always now.
Right.
So you're always full of consciousness.
Yes.
That consciousness is your exploration now, your unknowable becoming known. When it's not in your now, then it's known to you or it's unknowable, because we seem to stand still and creation flows through it. It's attracted.
Right.
So it comes into your vortex, as Abraham said, and then when you understand it, transcend it, become the knowing of it, it's gone. Well, we have a tendency as a human to remember, yeah, but I remember when, and you used it, and all these things to validate what the now was supposed to be through management, control, safe, secure, judgment, making them feel better at the expense of others. Everything that the human dynamic is, I love it. But if it's in your now, it's there to explore. I noticed something about the now. It was never empty, ever. I've always had now full of life. My reality every morning when I wake up, I have gravity, I have a body, I have a bed, I have a floor, I have a bathroom because I got to go TT. I have a place I can brush my teeth. Every now I have a reality. Now, how I produced myself was the habit of humanity to become productive, to become, I'm just sitting on the couch doing nothing. I really should do something. And then you do something, you look around for anybody to give you that pride. Yeah. Or you say, I did it for myself. I feel good. So you create this, and we were taught that. I guarantee you, if we all wiped out our ideas until we, let's say, got educated, every time before when we were children, no matter if that was one day or a couple of years, we didn't have purpose.
Right.
We were playing, and so we played.
Yeah.
So then we were taught to be purposeful. We were taught to be, oh, I got to gain your respect. Oh, teacher, I did good. I did my homework. Look, do you approve of me? Please say you love me because I did my work. And they're going, it's pretty good, but it's not your best work. And then you're, gosh darn it, I can do better. And you do that until you die.
Yeah, because you'll never, you can't get better.
Because I'm enough.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not operating at a deficiency. God didn't fuck up creating me because I'm God. I'm an equal of all that is. No one is less or more than where I am. From the individual wholeness and uniqueness. So in my daily activities, I don't purpose myself. It all attracts to me. I had a friend that called me up or emailed me in December, and I knew in February they were coming up. Yesterday they were here, and I was the surprise for one of my YouTube persons that likes to listen to me. And we had lunch together, and I couldn't have managed that. I couldn't make it any better. It was in the now. And then you contacted me. Oh, look at my now. And now it's now. And then tomorrow I have another idea to do, and that's that now. But now I'm now, and that's where I live. And whatever is available to me, I pick it up and I play.
Yeah. Now, are you perfect? Are you perfect as you are now?
What's that?
Are you perfect as you are now?
I've never been not perfect. It's only been my mind's perception that judges me. And if I see a perception of non-perfect, then I know that I'm recognizing a belief system that I've conjured as a personality.
Which is an illusion.
I accept that, allow that, transcend that, and I no longer can see myself as that.
Yeah. So
which means I can't see the world as that either, because I am the world. The world.
Okay. Therefore, every moment is perfect as well.
Of course.
And every past moment
screws it up.
Has always been perfect, and every future moment will always be perfect.
Yeah. But I don't look for those futures or create those pasts in the idea of perception, because I can look at time and I can mess up my life. I can make a lot of mistakes through a belief system, but I don't see those mistakes anymore. Now I see evolution.
So what happens when the first of the month rolls around and it's time to pay all your bills?
The money's there.
The money's always there.
It's never not been there.
Right. So you've
because I never managed my money because I can't control my reality. Yeah. I attract my reality that makes every moment perfect.
Yeah.
There's no more bills for me. They're in the moment. Oh, we're going to pay the cable bill today. Well, it's not a cable bill, the internet. We don't have cable. So
Yeah.
we're going to pay the internet bill. Oh, it's due today. Pay the bill because the money's there, and I never think about the bills.
Right.
Those are gone. Did I? Oh, yeah. But the more and more I allowed myself to be now, says, okay, we don't have the money. We don't have to manage it. We're going to allow the now, allow the now, allow the now, allow the now. Truly accept the value of the now and let myself show up. There's no way that your whole self, in my perception, my truth, my own existence, my own version of myself that I've lived, is ever going to teach me a lesson and make me learn something. I've always had. My whole self is an awesome freaking person. I'm the one who judged my whole self trying to teach me a lesson. It wasn't trying to teach me a lesson. It was teaching me how to trust I am and get the hell out of my own way and watch the miraculous show up in every minute. So even if it's one day before my rent's due, poof.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, did you have to wait to the last day? Did ya? Oh yeah, okay. So I trusted, and it gave me the perception of allowance, an insatiable amount of trust, an immeasurable amount of vulnerability to surrender to the now and allow it to occur. And I have never in the experience ever failed myself in the now.
Right.
I'm scared shitless in time, but in the now. So
Yeah.
now there's no more, hey, do we have enough money? Let's not buy this. Let's budget this. There's no more budgets.
Yeah.
I create money. Money's not real. Money is
Mhm.
a created idea that becomes real in my reality. But in time, it's not there. It's not my reality. My reality is law too, here and now. So that's where I live, and I create the reality that's always, never shall be, ever shall be perfect.
So what about your desires?
I don't have desires because I'm
So
enough in the now.
you have
So let me ask you a question. You
Yeah.
came to me.
Yeah.
I attracted you in my reality.
Right.
I didn't desire to be on the show.
Right.
But I can tell you this, I'm having a hell of a fucking time. I love what I'm doing. So my fulfillment happens in my allowance.
Yes. So then you give up desire.
I don't
What if you
desire
want-
anything because my life doesn't have time to desire something else when my now is filled with absolute indescribable purpose and indescribable meaning that I don't have to be anything except what I am, and I am fulfilled and purposeful, meaningful every now.
Right.
Because I'm existence. The option is non-existence, right?
Right.
Non-existence can experience I am.
Right.
So I'm life, and life is unconditional. It's a state of being. It's fucking magic.
Okay. You don't have a desire for a new car, a new apartment, a trip, more.
Do I have them in my reality as potentials?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, they're there anyway, but what about?
Yes, because I know that's what's coming.
Yeah.
You have possibilities that turn into probabilities, Abraham had said, and the value of that. But I never turn towards it and work towards it, because if I use my past on how to gain that, then I'm going to do it through effort.
Yeah.
And I am effortless. Oh, yes.
Unless you release your attachment to any specific outcome.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
But in the now, if you're taking action to achieve that outcome, then you're, to me, creating a reality through effort to, I mean,
what if the action?
Let's think about this. Let's take a car.
Yeah.
How am I going to get a new car when I don't have the money for a new car?
Right.
What's the precept on how to do that? Maybe save money, maybe get it inherited, maybe someone gives it to me. I can't imagine how many millions of ways that a holodeck can create a new car for me. I don't have a car. Me and Tommy are on the bus.
Yeah.
But I know a car's coming because I got a little signal that said, hey, Roxy, the validation of a car's coming so you can travel. It is not the car that's the image. It provides me access to a distance so I can go and do the things that are coming to me.
Yes.
So the car's coming. How am I going to get the car? I have no idea. But I do know this. It's coming.
Yeah. Interesting. So what then if you have the inspiration to say, create a course or do a workshop or do something where you charge more money than you've ever charged before. And then you feel the fear in that, well, why should I charge more money? People won't be able to afford it, that sort of thing.
Right.
you know, and
You
that,
go with your gut feeling in the moment
but that also has to do with your level of worthiness
to
around,
yourself.
to yourself around,
No one else, only to
yeah,
yourself. Am I worthy? Like when I went from $75 or for $60 for an hour to $140 an hour. Because
right,
one of my students that was, or one of my session guys, Simon, had said, Roxy, you are worth a hell of a lot more. And I was afraid. So he gave me the probability. I never said, God, I need to charge more. I just charged, and then it was attracted to me. Hey, Roxy, you need to change your website. So I said, can you do it for me? And he goes, sure.
yeah,
He's a website wizard. So he goes in and changes my PayPal, changes everything to go to 140 for an hour. And it's been there, and I have no means or desires or change that.
yeah,
I changed a couple of the venues, like, okay, I have personal sessions. Now I have deconstruct the ego classes,
yeah,
and I charged, how much do I think? And I said, how much, Roxy? And she goes, 400. And I said, okay.
okay,
And that
good,
was it. Because at that point, I trusted. So when you're going to create a workshop to attract people, the people that are attracted are the ones that have the value in your vibration. If I try to make that more valuable to have a better outcome in the ideas
right,
of validation through that expectations of what a workshop is supposed to muster
right,
and then be produced as, then I'm going to fuck myself 3 ways from Wednesday.
sure,
Unless I'm just allowing it and saying, okay, let's charge 350 for the first day, 250 for the second day, 500 or 700 for both of them. We'll serve breakfast and lunch, or they have to do, and whatever it is. And then I think about all that. But for me, I'm not going to create that. I'm going to allow whatever, say, hey, Roxy, why don't you come in and speak for us? Okay, I'll go and do that.
yeah,
Because I don't have that idea to be produced as creating a workshop. But if
hmm,
someone comes to me and says, Roxanne, I'm going to create a workshop for you, I'll put everything together. All you have to do is show up. And I was like, that's effortless.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so from what I've realized is, for me, the inspiration comes from two sources: straight in thought and desire,
Yep.
and from other people, just as you were saying, coming to you.
Yep.
So I had the inspiration to sit down and write. And so for 40 minutes a day, I just, whatever flowed to me came, and this fully formed book was done. And since then, 5 books are done. Had
Yeah.
the inspiration to contact Jules Johnson, and she says, start a podcast 5 years ago and be on the
Perfect.
Law of Attraction, right? And then while I'm doing it, I'm not efforting and struggling. This is the most exciting thing I could be doing right now.
Right.
I'm enjoying it, right? So
Right.
the inspiration is flowing to me,
Right.
and there is a twinge of desire in that. It feels
Yes.
good. It feels like it would be fun, exciting. And so then I'm inspired to take the step I can take,
But
even
I
though
never take the
fear
step
always
until
pops
the
up.
step shows up
Yes, but when you
for
receive
me.
inspiration, there'll be this fear that pops up, and you can push past that fear. So
Well,
for
yeah,
me,
but
go ahead.
you don't have those fears anymore now, do you?
Oh yeah,
You've,
I have them all the
you've
time.
done 5 books. There's no fears for you to
Not
call
in
your
that, but
inspiration that shows up. Right.
it's always evolving, right?
Of course. Yeah.
So I had this idea to have a conference, a weekend retreat where there's, well, we have them here at the house too. So every time we start playing one of these, there's a little fear. Oh, who's going to come? You know, how much are we going to charge?
Sure.
That sort of thing.
Sure.
Can we get
Yeah.
the stuff ready? Who's going to cook? Who's going to take care of all this stuff? Right.
It'll
And
all
so I just
happen
do
though.
it. Yeah, it all happened. Of course it does. Right. Yeah. But
If I go to one of your conferences, I'm going to cook. I can tell you that right
are
now.
you a cook?
Oh, yeah.
So am I. Did you know that?
Yeah. Love
I
to
am,
cook.
as my biggest passion in life is cooking from the time I was
I
a kid.
love cooking. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Maybe you should come.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, that'd be
Imagine
great.
that.
Good.
Where
All
do you
right.
live?
In outside of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna have one in April. But I also had this inspiration that maybe there's 4 of us. We could say you, me, David Strickle, Cindy Edison, put on an event, like a whole day event, maybe in Houston. Houston seems to be this hub of, you know, law of attraction and people who are interested in Joshua. There's, you know, these hubs seem to be Houston, Phoenix, Southern California,
Yeah.
Seattle, Vancouver,
Yeah.
Chicago,
Houston.
Connecticut.
Let's see. How's what's that place in Sonora? No.
Sonoma?
In Sonoma, Arizona.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sonoma. Sonoma's
Sonoma
awesome.
is one. Phoenix is one.
Yeah,
Austin, pretty good.
yeah,
Houston, yeah,
yeah. Houston's
definitely
good.
Houston.
Yeah,
Yeah, those little hotspots.
yeah.
So if you're inspired to do that, then that's your inspiration that would seem effortless.
It does. It seems effortless.
Well, then do
Yeah,
that.
there's still fear in there. How
Don't
many
worry about
people are
the
going to come?
fear.
Now, I
But
know
you
that by
accept it.
now.
You
Right.
accept the fear. It's like, yeah, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And
Exactly.
then one day, I guarantee you, you'll never say whatever's going to happen is going to happen because you're too busy in the now, filling your life, and you don't have time to think about what is or what is not happening.
Right. It's
But
getting
that
there
becomes the evolution himself to be
for sure.
now.
Good. All right. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on. I feel
Love it.
very excited about what's happening. And then a lot of emotion of fun and excitement and energy building up. So I'm looking forward to that. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Oh, yeah. Odyssey of Ascension. Odyssey of Ascension.
.com, YouTube.
.com.
Uh-huh.
Odysseyofascension.com, YouTube. Same thing, Odyssey of Ascension. And a lot of good videos up there. Got over like, I don't know, like 500, 600 videos or whatever. A lot of material all ready for you. Go and enjoy and have fun. Contact me on Odyssey of Ascension. I have my email there. And Facebook I have an Odyssey of Ascension Facebook page. Roxanne Swainhart is on Facebook. So
Awesome.
hi.
Great. Well, it's been so much fun meeting you and interacting, and we're going to do this again. And I feel there's more to come.
Booyah.
We are.
Amen.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Take care, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.